Hello everyone, I'm Red Team Beaver and welcome back to day 14 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe's. Today's challenge actually taught me something I didn't know about CI/CD, and we'll dive right into the theory aspects, and then for the practical part, I'm not sure if it's especially related to CI/CD only, because you can use the vulnerabilities that we're going to be exploiting in other contexts, but still it's a good way to show you how these vulnerabilities work. So let's dive right into it. So what is CI/CD? Well, CI is continuous integration, and that's basically when a source code is kept in a central repo, such as GitHub, and all changes are stored to avoid having different versions of the same code, basically. And continuous delivery is that whenever you push code to this central repo, for example, it's going to be automatically deployed to test pre-production or production environments. So whenever you have such design for your code, it needs to be secure, right? So you need to avoid these risks here. So these risks are access security. So you don't want to have people have access to stuff that they shouldn't be accessing, which is kind of in the same idea as permissions. Keys and secrets, most of it are done using API keys, ID keys, etc. So don't leak those into the code, for example. User security, so let's avoid having people use bad passwords, for example. And default configurations will avoid default credentials and default vulnerabilities, right? So that was a very fast overview. I invite you to read about it more if that's something that interests you, or if you're overall interested in DevOps, basically. So make sure to be connected to the VPN, and let's dive straight into the practical part. All right, so for the practical part, we actually have a bit of a walkthrough, basically, that tells us to use derb. And I've already started the scan just because it's very slow and I wanted to make sure that I had everything. So still, you know, take the time to start the scan now, and then we'll be able to keep going. So to start the scan, all you need to do is derb with this syntax. So HTTP : / and then the IP address of your machine, right? And again, be sure to be connected to the VPN to do that. So now they tell us that we can SSH connect to the server. So let's go look at the questions real quick so we know what we're looking for. So how many pages did the derb scan find with its default word list? So that's using the default word list right now, because I didn't precise any word list. So as you can see, it's common.txt because I didn't choose any word list. So that's fine. We're going to get our answers to that in a while. So how many scripts do you see in this home folder? So now we need to SSH to the machine using these credentials. So let's SSH to the machine. I'll call this tab derb, and then I'll go over and do SSH. So mexkitty at the IP address of the machine, and then we press enter. If you've never SSH, this is how the basic syntax of it. You can do yes to make sure that you want to connect and accept the key. Now you need to provide a password, which is password1. And it's going to take a little while to connect us. That's the password here, by the way. All right, there we go. So that took a little while, but finally we got into the machine. So now that we're inside the machine, we need to go look at how many scripts do we see in this folder. So let's just paste this, right? And then cd to this folder itself, and then do ls-l. And we can see that there's 4 scripts, right? So there's check, cleanup, loot, and test. So 4 is the answer here. So all right, so what are the 5 characters following this in Pepper's password hash? All right, so we saw a little bit about exploitation. So let's look here, like at this part, and basically we found inside our derb, we found an admin page, right? So let's go to the admin page. All right, so we see that this page is basically showing us the content of the loot folder with ls, right? So if we were to go into the scripts here, right? So if we do cat loot.sh, we see that this script right here is actually using ls into the loot folder and then outputting this result into this file right here, which can be found, like if we were to read it, this is just the ls output, which we can see here, right? Because it's in the var www html, and that's the website itself, right? So for example, if I were to go look at what's inside here, oops, I didn't mean to do cat, I want to do ls. Well, you see that there's a couple of things, right? So there's, for example, Juarez, which is a page that we could access right now. Oops. There's Juarez. And you can see that this is like a secret page, I guess. There's also this picture. So that's where it outputs it, right? But if you notice something interesting, right, there's one thing in this output that should grab your eyes. And if you already know the answer because you looked at the at this, well, still, congratulations. It's that we have full control over this file. So basically, we can input anything we want in this file, and it's going to get executed on a timer, right? So what we want now is the 5 characters following this in Pepper's password hash. Password hashes in Linux are stored in the etc shadow file. So for example, if we were to do cat etc shadow, well, we can't, right? Because we have permission denied. However, if we have a privileged user running this script on a timer, which is what we guess, we can change the script and basically do anything we want, right, with this script. So instead of doing this line of code, I could do, for example, I could do cat/etc/shadow, and then redirect the output into /var/www/html/shadow.html, for example. And this is going to create on the website a page on the called shadow.html with the content of the etc shadow file, right? So let's wait a bit here and do ls-l/var/www and html just to keep an eye out. And whenever we see shadow.html appear, it means that the script was run, right? So let's keep looking. All right, so this took a little while, but as we can see, we finally have shadow.html. So what we can do now is actually just access this file on the website. And just like that, you see that we have the etc shadow file outputted on screen right now with the password hashes of the users. So the question is to give the 5 characters following $6 $G, sorry. So now we have the good answer, right? So because we grabbed the 5 one of the Pepper user. So what is the content of the flag.txt file on the Grinch's user desktop? So for example, if we're to do ls-shell.desktop, we said there's a flag.txt file, but it's owned by root, right? So we cannot read it. And yeah, we don't have privileges to read it because these are empty. Well, these are empty. So let's do the same logic, right? So let's do nano loot and let's do cat home the Grinch desktop, and finally flag.txt, and output it into flag.html. Now save it and let's wait again. Oh, a side note, you will notice that this shadow.html file was created by root and it is owned by root, which means that root is doing this process of reading the loot.sh script. So stick with me until the end because I will show you a bonus way of how we can hack this box. All right, so after a little while, we found that flag.html was created. So let's simply access it. And we got a flag. So Die Hard is the best Christmas movie. That's arguable. All right, so finally, the first question, how many pages did the derp scan find with its default word list? Well, we could also just try to brute force it. Oh, I just broke the scan. Well, all right, so let's brute force it, right? So there was one for the admin. There was a second one that we didn't have access to. Then there was a third one that we didn't have access to. And I do believe the right answer will be 4. So it's 4. Sorry, I closed the scan by accident. But basically, yeah, it's 4 because we there was server status, I believe. There was admin. There was an index it found. And there was something else I remember seeing. But I don't remember it now. So don't go anywhere. Now this is time for the bonus section. So for the bonus section, we know that root is running this script, right? We know that root is running the loot.sh script. So what can we do? Well, we could try to get a root shell, right? So let's go into payload, all the things, and look at this cheat sheets for bash TCP reverse shell one-liners, right? This is how it looks like. So payload all the things, methodology, reverse shell cheat sheet, and go into bash TCP. So let's copy this. And let's go into our loot.sh file. All right, so let's delete all of this and paste this. So what we need now is to provide our IP address here and the port we want to listen on. So let's get our IP address by doing IPA and grab the ton 0, right? Ton for tunnel, which is our VPN. So let's grab this and replace this IP address with ours, and let's change the port to something more stealthy like 443 for HTTP. So now let's save it, and what we need to do here is actually open up a listener with nc-nvlp 443, and I will put on the screen right now a video that tells you more about Netcat. It was in the past days of the event of Christmas, and while this is running, I'll actually go look at it, see if I can find it. Yeah, it was yesterday, so it was day 13. With the Windows privilege escalation, we were running Netcat to basically privilege escalate. So let's wait here a little bit and see what's gonna happen. All right, so we waited a little bit, and just like that, finally we see that we got a connection back. And if we do ID, we see that we are root, right? So now we could answer all of the questions if we wanted, right? So what is the content of this? Oops, wrong question. What is the content of the flag.txt on the Grinch's user desktop? Well, we could simply do cd /home /the Grinch /desktop, and we could do ls, and we see that there's flag, so now we could cat it out, right? Because, well, we are root, right? So we have all the privileges. So that's another way we could do it, quote unquote, more easily, like without having to go through accessing a page on the website, right? We just become root, right? So let's go to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching day 14 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. Today's challenge, we had a little bit of like margin and how we could access it and how we could do it, which is always lovely. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it and subscribe. It helps me a lot. And if you want to support me, the links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something, and see you tomorrow for day 15 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe.